Well, the playoffs are all set. Let's get started with wildcard weekend. For Bengals at Texans, I'm going with the Texans. The Bengals are on sort of a hot streak here with 2 wins against the Steelers and the Ravens, while the Texans dropped from the #1 seed after losing to the Vikings and the Colts. I think the Texans have realized how badly they've screwed up the past couple weeks, and they're going to need to take out their frustration on the Cincinnati team that they're more than capable of beating. So I see Texans beating Bengals and moving on through the playoffs.
Alright, am I the only person that thinks that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to beat the Houston Texans? The Cincinnati Bengals are on a hot streak right now, taking off the Steelers to get into the playoffs and then knocking off the Ravens. But then again, you have Houston, who's on the downfall, losing their last 3 out of their 4, losing the #1 seed, which just goes to show you that anything can happen in the NFL. And that's why I'm picking the Cincinnati Bengals this week, because I think A.J. Green and Andy Dalton will do damage to the Houston Texans defense.
It's a rematch from last week's game as the Vikings head to Lambeau to play the Packers. I felt really bad for Adrian Peterson last week. He was 9 yards shy of that record, and I really wanted him to break it, but he decided that getting his team to the playoffs was more important than that record, so good for him. But the downside is that they're going to have to play the Packers again, and I almost feel like the Packers kind of gave that game to the Vikings because they knew that if they did, they'd just be playing them again, and they could probably easily dispatch them in the first round. So unfortunately, I am going to go with the Packers, even though I like to see the Vikings win.
Adrian Peterson almost getting that record, just 9 yards short to send his team into the playoffs. That's selflessness right there. He really, really loves his team, and he's carrying his team. And I think he is going to carry his team again past the Packers. Lambeau Field is going to be cold, and we all know Green Bay's running game isn't really established yet. All they got is Aaron Rodgers. So this is where it comes into play. Even though Minnesota doesn't have a passing game, they have a running game, and that's going to do good. Keeping the ball on the ground at Lambeau Field in January is going to be key to winning, and that's why I think the Vikings are going to take out the Packers.
Colts are heading to Baltimore to play the Ravens, and I am picking the Colts. I feel like the Colts are this year's Giants, where they're on this really, really good win streak, and they've got the momentum going into the playoffs. I am sort of biased because I hate the Ravens, but if you look at how they've been playing the past couple weeks, they're not that great of a team at 10-6. Even though they'll have the home field advantage of Baltimore, I just don't see them winning, so I think the Colts are going to go in there and shock everybody as they beat the Ravens.
Upset special, I'm taking the Colts as well against the Baltimore Ravens. Andrew Luck is going to go into Baltimore, and he is just going to destroy the Ravens defense. The Ravens have been on a slide lately, and I don't see them making it past the first round of playoffs. With Ray Lewis announcing that he's about to retire, that is going to give the home team something to play for, but I do think it's going to be Ray Lewis's last home game in Baltimore, as I see Andrew Luck just getting by the Ravens and making it into week 2.
In the final game for Wildcard Weekend, we have the Seahawks traveling to Washington to play the Redskins. This is going to be a great matchup between rookie QBs Russell Wilson and RG3. Both are going to be able to put up a lot of points, but I see the Seahawks coming out with a win. I think the Seahawks have the advantage in the running game with Marshawn Lynch over Alfred Morris, even though he is having a really good rookie season. And I think the Seahawks have the superior defense, which is going to create problems for the Redskins offense. So yeah, Seahawks leaving Washington with the win.
2 of the NFL's best QBs, rookie QBs, go at it this week with Russell Wilson and RG3. RG3 has been doing his team very good, and so is Russell Wilson. Although I do think the Seahawks are going to beat the Redskins, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Both teams match key for key, especially with their QBs and their mobility and their ability to pass. But the key difference is going to be the defense is number 1, because you got Richard Sherman in the Seattle defense, which is way better than the Washington Redskins defense. But then the other key is going to be Alfred Morris versus Marshawn Lynch, and we're all going to pick Mr. Beast Mode over the rookie, even though the rookie's having an incredible year, especially with that Diamondback option thing they got going with RG3. That's just making it hard for teams to set up their defenses. But I do think that the Seahawks defense is going to be too much for RG3 and Alfred Morris, and I think the Seahawks are going to go into week 2 of the playoffs.
Let us know in the comments below. Every week we will give a shout out to those who prove us wrong.
You can only prove us wrong in one game, so choose wisely.
Subscribe for weekly NFL picks. Thanks again for watching.